Hey everybody, welcome to Mental Game Mechanics. My name's Bud, and today we're talking about the power of the subconscious mind. In over the last few years of my life, I have spent a lot of time really focusing on how do we get better results using our mindsets. One thing I learned a long time ago with shotgun shooting, which is my passion, a lot of my mindset stuff comes from that world. One thing that I learned is that if you are so focused on the result of what you're trying to accomplish, right? If you're focused on this result that's over here that you want to achieve, but you're not focused on the process that gets you to that result, you're going to hinder your ability to actually get that result that you're looking for. So it's very much a strategic versus a tactical type of thinking. And so over the last several years, I've tried to really learn that for myself, and I've made a lot of mistakes along the way. I've experienced failures, and I've experienced really disappointing myself, honestly. And I'm sure you can imagine, kind of that feeling of like putting in a bunch of work and then trying something and it totally bombs, right? It could be a college essay, it could be a project at work, it could be, you're trying to really make your wife happy, or you're trying to, really expand that relationship or something, and it falls flat. It just doesn't hit home, or whatever that may be. That feeling, right? That feeling of just dang it didn't work, or dang it I couldn't get it done, right? There's just that anyway, there's just that block that really makes you struggle, and you get frustrated, right? And so as I've been on this journey trying to understand the mental game and how to better produce results in my life, I've not just in the shooting world, but in my life in general, in my business and all that stuff. There's one thing that I have learned is that there's two ways that we can learn. There's a difference between learning and experiencing. Right, you can learn and read and watch videos and all this stuff, and then you can experience what it's like to have what you learned about. Right, there's two different aspects of it. For example, in the gym, I go to CrossFit a lot, and so it's one thing for a coach to tell me, "Hey, try moving this way or turning your arm this way when you do this." Right, they give me kind of a coaching cue to try something new, and it's not until I actually go and do it and feel what that movement is like that I've experienced it, and then I've learned it. And that's kind of how we learn, right? Initially, we learn through a subconscious step-by-step, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. It's kind of a bop, 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 bop. You think in steps, right? And it's clunky. It's not smooth. Versus once you've learned something, you don't have to think about all those steps. You just do it. You watch a pro golfer, right? They make that swing just look effortless. And that's because they've swung the golf club so many times that it's ingrained into their subconscious mind. And that's one thing that I've really been working on, is building in the skill sets and the habits and the things that produce results into the back of my mind. And I had a recent experience with that that really just reminded me of the power of the subconscious mind, which is what we're talking about. When over about 9 years ago, I went to the Philippines and lived there for a couple years, and I learned Filipino, 3 different dialects of it actually. And while I was there, obviously I was using some I eventually became extremely fluent. A lot of people said that I was actually I could speak like a native, in terms of I didn't have any accent or anything like that, like an American. And people really were impressed with it, and I just dove in and really just tried to learn it as the best I could. And I haven't, ever since coming back to the United States, I've spoken it a handful of times. It's not something that I've used a lot, but when I was there, I was using it every single day, and it was ingrained in me. I was dreaming in Filipino. And I was, conversing with people every single day in that language. And I came home and it was gone. I didn't really use it much. And every time I did, since I've been home, I've kind of like stumbled across my words, because it's not fluid. I'm just trying to think through, say this, say that. And sometimes I'm translating between like 2 different dialects to English, and it jumbles around in my mind. And anyway, the other night I had a really just crazy dream. I was talking to a bunch of people, people I knew, people I didn't know, and I was having conversations with all these different people. And it was just really weird how just the whole overall dream. But the crazy part about the dream was that I wasn't speaking any English. I was speaking extremely fluent Ilonggo or Filipino. I was speaking in that language that I had been so good at, almost 9 years ago, and it was like I hadn't missed a beat. I didn't think about it. I was just flowing through the words, and I remember the dream. I don't know what I said. I just know that it was extremely fluent, and I just remember, knowing, not having to think about the words. It just came out like conversation, just like I'm talking to you right now. It was just smooth and flowing, and I didn't have to think about how to structure the words or anything like that. And so even though I haven't been using my language, it dawned on me that my subconscious has those neural pathways built, right? I've learned the language. It's in here. I just haven't used it enough to bring it out and let it just flourish, right? It's not something that I've been able to bring out over time because I don't use it. Very much like riding a bike. It's really just like that. You learn to ride a bike, and then you ride a bike as a kid for years and years, and then you stop. And then 10 years later, you get on a bike, and initially you're kind of like, it's been a while. Wow, this is really weird. And then after about 2-3 minutes, boom, you're clicking all over again, and you're confident, you're feeling it again, and that's just because you've done it before. You know what you're doing. That information is stored in your head. And that's the power of the subconscious mind, is that we learn skill sets. We build, it's called neuroplasticity. We build those neurotransmitters that communicate, to our body, to our hands, to our arms, to our legs, what to do and how to do it. Once those neural pathways are built in, once we've got that system ingrained in our head, just like driving a car, we don't have to think about it anymore. It's now part of us, right? It's in our subconscious mind. The language, for me, right? I've learned it. I knew it. I've got it. It's the conscious mind that really hinders it. And so if we can tap into our subconscious mind to execute on what we're trying to accomplish, we can do so much more simply because we're not worried about the steps that it takes to get whatever that result is. To ride a bike, to speak a language, to write an email, to do your project at work, whatever that might be. And so the hard part about tapping into that subconscious mind is that we have two patterns of thinking, I like to call it, and it's called the ego mind and the talent mind. So the ego mind is kind of like a backseat driver, right? It really just wants to control the situation and really just tell you, no, drive here, do this, do that, right? It really is, it's focused on producing that outcome, but it does it in a way that hinders your ability to actually get that outcome, right? Because it's a conscious, forceful, do this, then do that, right? It's kind of like when you're getting in your car and you're backing out of your driveway. You don't back out of your driveway with this like, I have to back out, and it's a forceful thing, right? It's very much a smooth and simple process that you don't really have to think about. How many of you back out of your driveway at the same time turning on your radio and buckling up your seatbelt and looking in the mirror, making sure that there's nobody coming, right? You're doing several things or thinking about all these different things while backing up out of your driveway. That's simply because you've done it enough times that you no longer have to process how to do it. You just do it. And so the ego mind, especially when something's on the line, right, and especially in competition and things like that, the ego mind really starts to come out. And it really starts to try to control the situation and control what your head's doing, right? And that's why I call it the ego, right? It's very much a egocentric type of a thinking pattern. The other side is what I call the talent mind. And the talent mind is just that. It's a person, or it's a pattern of thinking that allows the subconscious mind to flourish. Just like pulling out of your driveway, right? Boom, you just get into that mode, you pull out, no big deal, right? It makes it easy. When the talent mind is on, when the talent thinking pattern is on, performance becomes easy. It's not something that you're thinking about, you're just executing, you're doing it. For me in practice, when I'm shooting shotguns, in practice, I very much have a good ability to just turn on the talent mind and just rip roar, break targets. Highly skilled. If you were to watch me in practice, I don't really miss in practice. But then I get into a competition and I get the ego mind coming out, and that pressure rises up, and I'm kind of like, and I fight through that. That's a battle that I fight in my competitions, is suppressing the ego mind and bringing out the talent mind. And like I said, I'm very competitive. I want to win, and that want to win can be to my detriment sometimes. And so when we have that, it's simply because it's easier to consciously focus on something than to allow our subconscious to do what we're trying to do, right? And so if we can simply learn through repetition, build the patterns that we need, right? Just like riding a bike, driving a car, speaking a language, writing an email, designing books, writing books. I mean, whatever your skill set is that you're trying to build, if we can do that on a repetitive basis and get really good at it, it's now become a subconscious thing that we shouldn't have to think about anymore. We just get into the zone and execute what we know how to do. And if you put in the time to get good, that's what happens. You get that ingrained in you so well that you shouldn't have to think about what to do next, right? And if you can make sure that you're balancing out that, bringing out that talent mind to bring those things out, and use that talent to the best of its capacity, suppress the ego, you can produce incredible results. You'll be able to do more than you've thought you've ever been able to. And not only will you get better results, but you're going to do it easier, with less effort, and better focus. A lot of times I think we get anxiety about what we're doing, and it's because the ego comes out and tells us, well, you can't do this, or those doubts start to come in, and that's part of the ego mind, right? It's trying to control the situation. It's trying to tell you, A, you're not good enough, or B, you have to do it a certain way to get it done, and it causes you to feel that anxiety, that pressure, that stress, that forcefulness that almost is a result of you're trying so hard to get it done, but it's fleeting, right? So suppress the ego, build the talent, let it flourish, focus on your subconscious. You're gonna achieve way more and do more than you've thought. Now, this isn't easy. I'm not saying it's just gonna be a switch, but if focus on just allowing yourself to do what you know how to do and stop overthinking what you've learned. Right? If you've already learned a skill set, you shouldn't have to think about it anymore. So stop thinking about it and just do it. If you do, you'll have a greater impact on people's lives, in your life, in the results that you're getting. Just do it. Just go and do it. And focus on the process, right? The ego mind is very much a outcome-oriented thing, whereas the talent mind is a process-focused thing. So if your objective is to, hey, today I'm going to write a series of emails, or today I'm going to just be 100% present and focused with my family, do it. Okay? Just focus on the process of doing those things rather than the outcomes. And if you've got all these things in your head, focus on being just present in the moment and letting and trusting in your ability to do what you know how to do. And those are just a few tips on potentially bringing out the talent for you and implementing this into your life. Like I said, it is easier said than done, but I promise, with focus and effort and just really trying to be present with every moment, you're gonna start seeing better results in what you're doing. And I hope that hits home with you, that helps you make that small mindset shift that's gonna carry you into a little bit of momentum, and help you start producing better results overall. Like I said, the thing that you're doing, whatever your skill set is, you know what you got to do. You know the process if you're an expert, if you've put in that time. So I think we'll wrap it up there. But if you need help with this, go to budheaton.com/coaching and apply for a coaching session. I would love to work with you. And if there's any way that I can help you do this, implement this into your life, I would love to be a part of that process. So go ahead to go over to budheaton.com/coaching and just fill out the application there, and I'll reach out to you, and let's see if we can't make something work and really help you start driving the results that you're looking for in your life. So I'll leave that with you, and I hope you have an incredible day. I'll see you on the next video.